Fauci works for the CDC, the World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control, and our entire medical and education systems were all founded and funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. Rockefeller worked hand in hand with J.P. Morgan, the Rothschild family, and the Warburgs to create the Federal Reserve banking system in America that was passed by Woodrow Wilson in 1913, thus making every person in America essentially tax cattle, debt slaves. These people that had more money than God and were hungry for more power and more wealth are the same people that are in charge of the WHO and the CDC and your education system and the banking system and oil and energy and healthcare. These are the people you want dictating where your health sits. These are the same entities that created the IRS. The IRS is no more than the collections agency of the Federal Reserve banking system. These are the same people that designed the IRS to be able to lock you in jail if you do not comply and forfeit about 1/3 of your hard-earned money. Taxation is not merely just theft, it's extortion. They steal it from you and say if you don't pay, you will be punished. It's the same entities who extort about 1/3 of your income through the use of force and intimidation. I mean, if you believe in the system and you trust these entities, this podcast is not for you. You're probably rolling your eyes and ready to throw your phone through a wall. And that's fine. You can listen to this, you can not listen to this. Doesn't make any difference. I'm going to still say what I'm going to say. And you can look up all of these things that I'm saying and find out for yourself that I'm not full of shit. They don't teach you this stuff in school because guess what? They don't want you to know this stuff. And when I say they, or when anyone who talks about this shit says the word they, people roll their eyes like, oh God, who is they? When I'm saying they, I'm talking about the people who pull the levers of power in our society. I'm talking about the gigantic banking and business interests that control far too much of the things that affect our daily lives. The last thing these entities want is for people to be critically thinking and plotting out ways to join hands with their neighbors to overthrow this fucked up system. That doesn't help them very much if there's a whole society of critical thinkers who don't look at their neighbors as enemies, but instead look at their neighbors as allies to fight a common goal. That doesn't do them a whole lot of good. Divide and conquer is the tactic, and it still sadly works. People are too busy squabbling with their neighbors to realize that their neighbor is not their enemy. They have a common enemy. Real progress is never made because people keep fighting with each other instead of realizing they have a common enemy and go against the common enemy, fighting hand in hand. People power, educated, critical thinking people power terrifies the establishment. The masses, if they were awakened and not being led like sheep to the slaughter, if the masses were awakened, that is the ultimate nightmare of the people that control the levers of power in our society. If there's an entire society full of critical thinkers who are on the same page with each other and realize how badly we're getting fucked by this corrupt system, the game is over for them, and they know that. So they take measures to make sure that doesn't happen. Problem is, you can fool some of the people all of the time. You can fool all of the people some of the time, But you can't fool all of the people all of the time. There are people out here that are not fooled. The people who are not fooled are a threat to the establishment. The people who are not fooled are a threat to business as usual. The people who are not fooled are a threat to this fucked up system. They've created a society that has citizens ratting each other out and talking shit to one another because they don't say the right things. They go against the grain. They don't fall in line with the agenda or with this or that political ideology, political dogma. They've set up the society to where people, ordinary people, will keep the free thinkers in line. Government doesn't have to do it because regular people will ostracize them from the society, cast them out, call them tinfoil hat wearing people, conspiracy theorists. You're crazy. You're a nut job. If you know anything about the creation of the Federal Reserve, fractional reserve banking, the fact that multinational corporations are outside of the jurisdictions of governments, how Big Pharma controls almost everything in the healthcare industry. I hope you realize that America and New Zealand are the only two countries on the planet Earth where Big Pharma is allowed to advertise on television. Did you know that? You don't see advertisements for pills in other countries, with the exception of New Zealand. America and New Zealand are the only two places on the fucking planet that let Big Pharma come into your living room and tell you and your family about how they can help you. Side effects may include drowsiness, diarrhea, skin rashes, loss of vision, loss of hearing, insomnia, impotence, sterilization, birth defects, bleeding out of your asshole, death. Ask your doctor about this pill to see if it's right for you. Favorites called The Conquest of Happiness. Bertrand Russell said, "Do not fear to be eccentric in opinion, for every opinion now accepted was once eccentric." Wise words from a wise man. I'll leave you with that one, friends. Take care of yourself and each other and try to leave the world a little nicer than the way you found it. And then we're going to make it. We're going to be moving on up. Hey everybody, thanks a lot for checking this out. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. If you want to support the podcast, you can always go to riffsordie.com and pick up some merch. You can also go to patreon.com/riffsordie and subscribe to become a patron. Feel free to shoot me an email at podcast@riffsordie.com. All questions and comments are welcome. Thanks a lot for your support. Take care, everybody.